She's married, she needs it more, they argued. 10 years later, they panicked. You own the development company? Please, it's all we have left. I studied the demolition order and said, Demolition proceeds as scheduled. Monday, 7 a.m. I suggest you remove any remaining personal items by Sunday night. My Aunt Catherine's face crumpled like the papers in my hand. The same papers showing the house that should have been mine was now slated for destruction to make way for a 30-story luxury complex. Maya, please, Uncle Robert begged, his usual pompous demeanor replaced by desperation. That house has been in our family for 60 years. Your grandmother built it with her own hands. I know exactly what my grandmother built, I interrupted. I spent every summer there. Every Christmas. I was the one who helped her plant those rose bushes you let die. I was the one who painted that fence your daughter's husband tore down for parking space. We didn't know you'd become this. Catherine gestured helplessly at my office, at the architectural awards on the walls, at the model of the city block I now owned. If we'd known, you'd have given me what was rightfully mine? Somehow I doubt that. 10 years ago, I'd sat in my grandmother's living room, surrounded by the family who'd gathered like vultures before her body was even cold. Grandma Lillian had died suddenly, a stroke while tending her beloved garden, leaving behind the Victorian house that had been our family's anchor for generations. As the eldest, I should inherit, Uncle Robert had declared, already eyeing the antique furniture. But you already have a house, Aunt Catherine had countered. Teresa needs it more. She just got married. Teresa, my cousin, 3 years older, always the family favorite with her perfect husband and plans for perfect babies in a perfect house she didn't have to work for. What about Maya? My younger brother David had asked, bless him. The room had gone quiet. Then the excuses started. Maya's only 22. What would she do with a house? She's not married. It's too much responsibility. She's still in school. She can't maintain a property. She rents that tiny apartment. She's fine. I'd found my voice then. Grandma always said the house would be mine. She promised. Verbal promises mean nothing legally. Robert had cut me off. And the will just says to my family. We're all family. But I'm the one who took care of her. Every weekend, every break from school. She's married, she needs it more, Catherine had said with finality, as if marriage was an achievement that entitled Teresa to my inheritance. A young couple needs a stable home to start their family. And I need a place to live that isn't a roach-infested studio. I'd protested. You're being selfish, Teresa had actually said, already planning renovations in her head. I have a husband to think about. You just have yourself. Just myself. As if that made me less deserving. As if my love for Grandma, my connection to that house, my need for stability mattered less than Teresa's ring and marriage certificate. They'd voted. Democratic, they'd called it. Fair. 4 votes for Teresa, 1 for me. David was too young to have a say. You understand, don't you, Maya? Catherine had said afterward, not waiting for an answer. When you get married, we'll help you find something nice. I'd left that house, my grandmother's house, my sanctuary, with nothing but the ceramic bird Grandma had made in her pottery class. The one thing they hadn't deemed valuable enough to fight over. I'll never forgive you for this, I'd told them at the door. You're young, Robert had laughed. You'll get over it. Focus on your studies. Architecture, right? Build your own house someday. So I did. Fury, it turns out, is one hell of a motivator. I threw myself into my architecture degree with a vengeance. Every project, I imagined the buildings I'd create that would dwarf their petty inheritance squabbles. Every sleepless night in the studio, I pictured Teresa renovating my grandmother's kitchen while I sketched skyscrapers. Why are you pushing so hard? My advisor had asked. You're going to burn out. I'm going to build an empire, I'd told him. I'm going to own this city. He thought I was joking. I wasn't. I graduated summa cum laude, won every design competition I entered, landed at the city's top firm. But I didn't want to build for others. I wanted to build for myself. So I saved ruthlessly, lived on ramen and rage, connected with investors who saw my hunger and matched it with capital. My first project was a small apartment complex in a neglected neighborhood. I designed it, developed it, managed it. The profits rolled into the next project. Then the next. By 28, I owned my own development company. By 30, we were reshaping the city's skyline. You've got an eye for potential, one investor had noted. You see value where others see waste. I learned early that some people can't recognize value even when it's handed to them, I'd replied. Which brings us to now. The house, my grandmother's house, sitting on a corner lot in what had become the city's hottest neighborhood. The house Teresa had let deteriorate while she went through a messy divorce, too proud to admit she couldn't afford the maintenance. The house the family had mortgaged repeatedly for failed businesses and foolish investments. I'd bought the entire block through shell companies, carefully, quietly. Every building except the corner Victorian they'd stolen from me. Until last month, when the bank foreclosed and I snatched it up before they even knew it was for sale. How could you? Catherine demanded now. Your own family? The same way you could give away my inheritance because Teresa had a husband. Where is dear Richard now, by the way? They divorced, Robert admitted. Years ago. So she needed it more for a marriage that lasted, 3 years? How's that for stable family planning? We made a mistake, Catherine said quietly. We see that now. You see it now because I own it. Because you need me. Not because you actually believe I deserved it then. The house is all we have left of Mother, Robert tried. Surely that means something to you? It meant everything to me. That's why losing it hurts so much. But buildings aren't memories. I carry Grandma with me in the work I do, the spaces I create, the homes I build for families who appreciate them. Please, Teresa spoke for the first time, looking haggard and older than her 35 years. I know I was horrible. I know I didn't deserve it. But my kids will learn that actions have consequences. That you can't take what isn't yours and expect to keep it forever. I pulled up the architectural plans on my tablet. Look at what's going there instead. Affordable housing for seniors on fixed incomes. A community garden on the roof. A pottery studio on the ground floor, like the one where Grandma made her ceramics. You're honoring her by destroying her house? Robert asked bitterly. I'm honoring her by creating something that helps people who need it. Not people who think marriage makes them more deserving, but people who actually need homes. Grandma would understand that. What if we buy it back? Catherine offered desperately. We'll pay market value. With what money? I know about the bankruptcies, the failed investments, the second mortgages. You bled that house dry, and now you want to buy it back with money you don't have. Silence confirmed what I already knew. Here's what's going to happen, I said, standing. The demolition proceeds Monday. I've arranged for a company to carefully remove and preserve any architectural elements worth saving. The stained glass, the original hardwood, the tile work Grandma loved. They'll be incorporated into the new building. That's something I suppose, Robert muttered. I'm not finished. There's a unit in the new complex, a corner apartment with garden views. It's yours if you want it. Subsidized rent for seniors who've fallen on hard times. They stared at me. Why? Catherine whispered. Because I'm not you. Because cruelty isn't genetic. Because Grandma would haunt me if I left family actually homeless, even family who threw me away. We didn't throw you away. You literally told me I mattered less because I wasn't married. You gave away my inheritance because Teresa had a husband and I just had myself. Well, it turns out myself was enough. Myself built this company. Myself bought that block. Myself is offering you more grace than you ever offered me. I slid the rental application across the desk. Fill this out if you're interested. The pottery studio will need instructors. Teresa, you used to do ceramics with Grandma. The job's yours if you want it. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a chance to earn something instead of taking it. Novel concept for this family, I know. They took the applications with shaking hands, reality finally sinking in. The house they'd stolen from me, fought over, mortgaged into ruin, gone. Replaced by something bigger, better, more meaningful than their petty inheritance games. Grandma's bird, Robert noticed suddenly, pointing to the ceramic piece on my shelf. You kept it. The only thing you didn't think was worth taking. Turns out it was the most valuable thing in that house. It reminded me where I came from and why I needed to build something better. As they left, Teresa turned back. Maya, I really am sorry. Not just because you're successful now. I see how wrong we were. How cruel. I know, I said simply. But sorry doesn't rebuild what you tore down. Only I could do that. Monday morning, I stood across the street as the wrecking ball took its first swing. The walls that had sheltered our family for 60 years crumbled like the promises they'd made about helping me when I got married. But from my architect's eye, I didn't see destruction. I saw potential. 30 stories of affordable senior housing where Grandma's roses once grew. A community garden where her vegetables had been. A pottery studio where her kitchen stood. You okay? David asked, joining me. He'd become a teacher, kind and steady, the only family who'd stood by me. Yeah, it's just a house. It was never just a house. No, I agreed. It was a lesson. About value, about family, about building your own foundation when others won't let you share theirs. The Victorian fell in a cloud of dust and memories. By sunset, the lot was clear. By Monday, we'd break ground on something new. Something mine. Something that would shelter families based on need, not on marital status or favoritism. They'd given my grandmother's house to my cousin because she's married, she needs it more. 10 years later, they'd begged me to save it because it was all we have left. But some things can't be saved. Can't be bought back. Can't be undone with apologies and desperation. All you can do is build something better from the rubble of other people's choices. The demolition order was signed, sealed, and executed. Just like their decision to value Teresa's marriage over my devotion. The only difference? My demolition would make room for something beautiful. Theirs had only made room for regret.